A very good morning to you guys. Welcome to Asake Online. This is the Breakfast Club. My name is Brighton Ncube. Today on the show, I bring you Mandlenkosi Siwela, an author, a former teacher at Chocholo School. They're teaching English and Ndebele. He's written many books, but however, they haven't been published. Today, we talk to him and hear from him his experience. He's also the CCC Councillor under the provincial PR there in Brighton North. We want to hear from him today, his experience in politics, in writing the books, and also his day-to-day life. Mandlenkosi Siwela, welcome to the show this morning.
Welcome. I'm very happy to be in this present plenary session.
Let's talk about politics firstly. How did you enter politics and how do you find politics?
When I started to enter politics, it was from my history. My father, of some sort, was a politician. During the liberation struggle, he would keep money for ZAPU. And then when I was growing up, he would tell me stories of politics. Then from there, it started to click into my mind. Due to my disability, I saw many things lacking, and I discovered that we needed a political ground so that we can solve our issues. So that's what made my mind to tune myself into the political game.
Let's speak about your disability. Were you born visually impaired or you just maybe took it along the way?
The story started when I was young. I fell on top of a wooden table which was made within our fields during our harvest, sitting in Galani in our vernacular, because I was coming from Brighton North. You know, Brighton North is a national game park filled with snakes. So during the harvest, my parents would put me on top of that in Galani. And unfortunately, when I was shivering and moving, you know, a child, when he's asleep, he moves. And then I fell down and hammered on top of a brick. And then, because if you check my eyes, they're okay. But due to cultural backgrounds, they thought this and that, but it couldn't materialize. When I went to the optician, John McMinn, discovered that there was a disconnection from the retina and other biological concepts that he was using, where the retina, where the image is made, and the other the connection from the brain to the eye, yeah, those vessels and so forth, there was a disconnection. I'm not good in biology, but somewhere like that, according to my prescription, it affected my eyes because my eyes are opened, but they are not connected to the brain.
Mm-hmm. So speak about this, saying it happened when you were a child. How did this affect you growing up? I understand you were now a teacher, former teacher, right? How did it affect you, your education and when you're growing up?
Yeah, it affected me a lot because my parents did not know what to do about me. I had to stay at home almost for 8 years, 9 years, failing to go to school because, of course, they first tried to take me to a preschool by that time. And remember, our preschool sessions during those days were not advanced like these ones. So the moment they discovered that I was not able to see, the last thing that they to do, they were to just stock me at home. And this really affected me until a baby clinic came, another doctor, she was a nurse actually, advised my parents to take me to the Council for the Blind. Then from Council for the Blind, that's where the story started because I was advised and my parents were advised for them to take me to Solusi, where we had a prayer school for the blind there. Then my career started there.
But also, maybe your colleagues at school, how are the reception like? Maybe relating with them, working with them, or versus Solusi now there's a Bright school, the Bright school there. How did you relate with them as well?
Yeah, it was very difficult. Remember, when we entered our education at Solusi, were the pioneers under the Bright session, and we were less than 10 out of a school which had a population of 500 to 600. So it was very difficult for our peers to understand us, you know, those myth beliefs, perceptions that they would believe that if you touch a blind person or someone with albinism, you are going to be like that, or you're going to have a child like that. So it really it discouraged them to be connected to us. But you see, praise God, because the way children are, you know, they are marvelous. We connected to each other one way or the other in our social concept because we play with them the way we would play until they were used to us, and it was just one family. And Solus was an Adventist-oriented institution. We're told values of uniting together and socializing together. So in that case, we were bound together.
You speak of education and how you struggled maybe to go to school and so on, but now you're a former teacher, taught English and Ndebele. How was the reception like in terms of the teachers they were teaching and also abazali and also the students? How was the reception like to know what our teacher is usually impaired?
Yeah, our teachers during that time also, it was their first case, most of them, because we had one teacher who was a specialist teacher, was supposed to braille and transcribe our work and present that work to those teachers who were then going to mark. So those teachers were not specially trained like that other teacher. It was very difficult for us, especially when we were inclusively oriented into those classes. We would hear negative comments and that would harm our nerves. But I believe teachers were staff developed to understand us and to appreciate us. Then within our parents, it was very difficult, one way or the other, especially to my mother, who was not stable, because some of the comments within the village, they would believe that maybe it was a curse from God, from ancestral spirits, or maybe one way or the other, my mother could have practiced prostitution. That's what mattered me, and when I was growing up, it made me to write this book, Labonga Bantu, Still Part of Humanity, because some of these concepts, they started from my historical background, and when I was gathering information from my peers who had disability, the story is still the same. That's why I decided to write these books.
Quite interesting title of the book, the Lawa. I'm going to come back to that title of the book and talk about more about those books. Let's speak about your father. I spoke about your father was part of ZAP and so on. How much of influence did your father have in terms of who you are today?
My father was a chill father. My father was an accommodating father. He was a listening father, a father who would not neglect my mother due to my disability, because we have heard many stories about men. When they start to see that maybe a wife has a child with disabilities, the issue now would be very, very, very tough to the lady. And the last thing that the men would do is just to divorce that wife. So my father was very constant to my mother. So he was a loving father. I really pay tribute to him, and his legacy will always linger into my mind.
The book, Labonga Bantu, let me just bring this issue of marriage as well into it now. I see with Mtabisi, your son here with us today. Let's talk about marriage. How was it easy or difficult for someone, your wife, to accept, this is my husband? How was it easy or difficult for him to accept you?
Yeah, that was very difficult. I remember when we were boys during those days, we would also try our luck like these younger boys, the times they become not, of course, not the school that was advising us to do so. At times, when you are young, you become naughty. So we would pray our letters to these girls. They would refuse us simply because he's blind. Now coming to a normal life, when I had finished school, when I was trying my luck at Hillside Teachers College, it was very difficult to propose these women because one, they would be shy, at times they would not see a man who would come real in life and stand the pressure of life, So it was very difficult for me and for them to understand me. But I didn't give up. I persisted until I saw Mtabisi's mother, Sletemba Dube. Of course, for 3 years we were friends, but it was not an easy issue to try to convince her. And remember, there were other people beside me, beside her, who were looking and they were discouraging her. But unfortunately, or fortunately, fortunately for my side and for her side, we bounded together until we went for a white wedding ceremony at Solusi. Yes.
Right. Let's talk about your books now. You're writing. You love writing. I understand you have 5 books that you have written, right?
Yes.
But it's not yet published because you don't have a publisher, right?
Yes.
I'm sure the audience watching today, or maybe at homes, wherever they are, they'll love to assist you in terms of publishing your books. Let's speak about your books. The first one, Labonga Bantu.
Yes.
Talk about that book.
Yeah, the first one, Labonga Bantu. Initially, I wrote this book in Ndebele. When I was asking my friends, and they said, no, Patsola, this is a powerful book. Why don't you put it in English? And I was very lucky because when I was at University of Zimbabwe, I did translation. So I thought it was wise for me to translate the book. So now the laws of translation, it was very difficult for me to change the characters, to put them as they are. And there's a little bit of Ndebele there. There's a little bit of Tonga names, Nambia names, Nyanja, because I was brought up in Mat North. Those of you who are aware of Wanke, Wanke is a multicultural society. So Labonga Bantu, it is a character there who's crying to say, please recognize us. We are still part of the human race. You find that the main character there, due to negligence, due to discrimination, he was looked upon due to his disability at grassroots level, so that the aunties were not able to appreciate that the child was belonging to their clan. So that's where the story started, Labonga Bantu. It starts from the grassroots. It goes again to the academic field where the same character goes to a boarding school. They are not appreciated. They have challenges. The readership materials are a problem. These are the things that were affecting us in life. So it also went there after the school. The gentleman goes into the real life now. He's supposed to be employed. Now, in the employment sector, it was very difficult for the main character. He has to convince himself that he is now educated. Is he able to do the task that he is wishing to do in that job title? So you find that all these things are within us. When you are with disabilities, particularly those who are blind, you have to convince the society. You want to be a teacher. Are you able to teach our children? That's where the system now became tough for us, because we have to convince the system, convince to the society that that job title that is within us, we are able to perform the duties as they come.
But do you think the government's doing enough in terms of the infrastructure development, developing infrastructure, the schools? You're saying now we have to convince even the parents to say we're enough as well. We're capable of teaching your kids. Do you think the government's doing enough, maybe to make it level, equal for the people, for PWDs, those with visual impairments, and other people? Do you think the government's doing enough?
Yeah, for this generation in these years, I think the government is trying to come up with clear policies that would help us. Remember, there is the National Disability Policy, which is not yet ratified by the president. So one way or the other, they are trying. Since it's there, it shows that there is a big trial. Unlike in our history way back, it was very difficult. Of course, the government was trying. Remember, there were people like Jairus Chiri, and there were other people who were advocates, Mr. Ishmael Joe, and other colleagues who were in the disability constituents, who were trying to equalize issues. But the pace was very slow by that time. But this time we are trying, because look, we have senators. Mr. Joe is a senator there. Anna Shiri is a senator there. We've got in the ZEC department there, I think it's Kudzai, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Ubabu Shaba is there also to see that we have electoral reforms that are equal to our issues. So one way or the other, we are being recognized, but the pace is still slow.
Yeah. I understand your books, you write the books for yourself, you type for yourself. Talk to us about that. How do you do it in terms of writing those books for yourself?
Yeah, this time I wasn't using Braille. You know, a lot of people know Braille and that Braille packing machine that we used to use during those days. But this time I'm using a normal computer. That computer is voiced. We have many voices in the computer that you just select. The Talking Joes, we have NTVL. These are softwares that are accompanying our job to be so easier. The moment I type, it voices. If I press remember that is a QWERTY keyboard. If I press AS, it will sound to me. Now, if I type the word and finish, it will also detect that word for me. So it's very easier. Actually, we started using those old typewriters. So they were to train us, because the issue there is to master the keyboard. Remember that keyboard is a QWERTY keyboard. So in the alphabeting order, we have the upper line, which has got Q up to P. We have got the middle line, which has got A up to colon, then the last line, which has got Z up to those commas and so forth. Now, the issue there is, for me, of a person who is blind, he has to know how to press the fingers, because if you are not typing, you have to put your fingers on top of the middle line, which is ASDF, and then omit GHJKL colon. So you just relax the fingers. Now, when you are typing, each finger has to respond. For instance, if I want to type Q, I have to move this finger from A to Q. Then if I want to type Z, this finger again, I come here, I go down here. So there's a sequence that must be followed, but it's a matter of practicing. Once one practice, you are articulated to the issue, and then it becomes easier.
There are some 5 books, right? Besides this one, Labonga Bantu. Talk to us about the other 4 books, the titles of the books, and just brief summary about them.
Okay, the other book that I've written, it's called isiNdebele, Umkhosi Omkhulu. I also translated it to make it the 3rd book now. Yeah, The Loudest Cry. It's a political book in Africa, in Zimbabwe is also included. I've realized that most of our politicians, they've made politics to be fearsome to the citizens. But yet politics is God-given. Because remember, God chooses these politics through us as voters. But when they start to do their political games, they are so kind to the people. They don't want to come close to the people once they are elected. You find that that main character who was a leader, lastly with his entourage, there is a loud cry when things are becoming tough for them at the end of the book. But when the book starts, they are very calm, they are good to the people, they come to the masses, they want that moral support. And in those first years, their leadership is quite good to the people, they've got good leadership skills. But now times come, when time moves by, they start now to be corrupt, they don't understand the people, and they shun their citizens. Violence is the game of the day. But now when they're stuck, there's coup, it's war, there's everything filthy there, the loud cry. They move away from their country to a faraway country. So the loudest cry, Umkhosi Omkhulu. Because once they cry, everything just goes astray. The citizens are panicking. There's just disorder there. Umkhosi Omkhulu.
Hi, my name is Alice, an artificial intelligence presenter at site. Tune into The Breakfast Club, a current affairs program every weekday at 9 o'clock on Esaki Online. We also have a woman-focused show, Girl Let's Talk, every Thursday at 10 a.m. And Fix My City, a service delivery program with Leslie Moyo at 10 a.m. every Friday on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Make sure to follow Site on all our social media platforms and visit our website at www.site.org.cw.
Guys, if you're just joining us, this is The Breakfast Club. My name is Brighton Ncube. My guest today is Mandlenkosi Siwela, the author of different books, Umkhosi Omkhulu and Labo Ngabantu, and other books that he's written, but however, he hasn't found a publisher to publish these books. If you're out there and want to assist him publish these books, please do comment on the section there. We'll give you details after the show. Right, Baba, speaking about politics as well, issue of corruption, politicians and so on. I understand you're a part of CCC as a provincial councillor in Brighton North. Talk to us about politics. You know, people complain about politics being toxic, but for a person who's visually impaired, how do you juggle into politics and how do you find it?
It's so interesting. At first, I feared, I want to be frank, because we've heard many stories, we've heard people dying, we've heard people being abducted and so forth. And even my wife was crying to say, how would you join politics? But I said, no, look, politics is God-given. We mean politics with good governance. If we shun politics, our issues are not going to be interpreted well up there. So now when I started to join, I used to campaign with every person there in Brighton North. Talk to MPs, I'll mingle with them. Talk to the councillors, I'll mingle with them. At times they'll give me the stage in front of the people. We say out our manifesto. And people were alarmed at times to hear someone who's visually impaired, someone with disability, to stand and talk something that was politically sensitive. So it really managed to win a lot of people who came and listened to our manifesto.
Right, so quite interesting when I was saying the issue of politics. But now, when it comes to voting now, we spoke about the problems faced by PWTs when it comes to voting. What challenge that you guys face, people are visually impaired when it comes to voting? Is there braille format in terms of writing the posters? How do you guys maneuver around?
Yeah, the posters are not in braille. You have to have someone who's going to read for us. Of course, these days we have technology whereby these phones, like my phone here, you can sensitize it and activate it. You scan and start to read. But not everyone who's with disability is able to have that smartphone. So you find that most of us are still swimming in poverty. I want to be frank with that one. So it's very difficult to read those posters. And at times, even the message, when it comes, some people look down upon us. They don't give us that information on time. And we don't have braille language. The sign language is not observed. So it's very difficult really in the political arena for us to get that information. I think a lot has to be done. And I feel the ethnic organizations that are registered to deal with our issues are not coordinating with the political grounds. You know, some of these NGOs, they will tell you that we don't associate with the political language in the land. So it becomes very difficult. If you mingle in the politics, then it means that you have to play a solo move, you know. Yeah, that's the challenge.
Let's speak about your day-to-day life in Bulawayo, for example. Issue of transport sector, issues of education, issues of healthcare. What can be done? Before we go to what can be done, let's look at the problems you guys face in the transport sector, in the education sector as well, in the healthcare sector. What are the problems that you face in the
Yeah, in the transport sector, we don't have a conducive transportation system for persons with disabilities. And I think awareness campaigns are not yet told to the transport offers, because there is that vulgar language, at the Ecodin there. People don't respect persons with disabilities at times. And those with wheelchairs are finding it very difficult to carry their wheelchairs. Some people needing double money because it takes space. And we don't have those frangle transport like we have had overseas, that there are conducive transportation systems that would accommodate us, particularly persons with disabilities who are visually impaired. At times you need someone to assist me, my aid, he has to pay. So it means that if I have to have a journey, I have to prepare for double funding, you see. And that's why at times you see we sacrifice to move with our children, which is a risk at times. Yeah.
Speaking of moving with children, I know today we brought Mcebisi here, your son. Talk to us about your day-to-day life with him as you walk to town, as you do your business. Talk to us about that.
When I move with him, he's only there to make sure that I cross the road. He has to make sure that he sees the center line. I first train him at home.
Let's make our audience understand how old is Mcebisi. Mcebisi, come here.
Come.
Yeah. Let's make our audience understand how old Mcebisi is.
Okay.
In terms of when he maneuvers and walks with you in town.
All right.
And come here. Yeah, so give me that.
All right.
Right. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So Mcebisi is 6 years. You find that he is my last born. I've got 3 children. Yeah. The other one is doing A-level. He has just finished, he's coming home. The other one is at Form 2. You find that most of my children, I trained them whilst they were at 6 years. Mm-hmm. Now, the first thing before dealing with Mcebisi, it is me who is visually impaired who should know the structure of Bulawayo. Like the way they taught us Bulawayo. Bulawayo is like a draft like. You find that the avenues are from east to west. Now the streets are from the southern side to the northern side, or northern to the southern. So now the blind person has to know the streets, the sequence of the streets. With this building is from this street and that street. Now when I'm moving with Mcebisi, before I come to the congested side at home, you take him at a simple road, you train him, which the cars are coming from the left side, because in Zimbabwe we keep left. So he has to first check at his right hand, because these cars from the left are going this side. He has to check at his right hand. And then when he sees that there's no car, we cross the road to the middle. That's where he's very sensitive. He has to point and make sure that he's at the middle, there where there's that white painted color. When we're at middle, he has now to turn his eyes at the left so that we can see the cars that are coming from that other side. Then we can cross. So it needs practice and patience. But at times, I know questions may come to say, but this boy is too little. Where I feel it's so tough, I ask other people to help us while he's there. So while he's there, he's learning the process. You find that as time goes by, as he's 8 years old, 9 years old, it will be much easier. It will be much easier for him to direct me easier. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was in town wherever a visual impaired person asks for your help, some people just drag them away, push them away, don't help them. Have you felt that before? Have you experienced that?
Yeah, a lot, especially during the COVID time. Someone will pull you with your belt. I remember someone saying, hey, COVID. Someone will hook you here and pull you. So that one is not a proper way. I think a lot of advocacy has to be done to our people, because I'm still part of the human race. Once they read that book, they would understand that these are people. Our disability mustn't exclude those human values. I'm still a father. I'm still a man. I have to be treated equal like any other person within the streets.
Mm-hmm. Last, as we close the show this morning, there's someone watching the show right now. They want to sponsor your books. Maybe they want to assist you publish your books. What can you say to them? Let's talk to them. There's a camera there. What can you say to them? They want to support you in terms of publishing your books. What can you say to them?
To them, I was saying that I'm really appreciative to their effort. They should feel free to help me, because what is needed here, it is the financial muscle as well as the publishing house. Also, I wanted this book to be in the Amazon. I'm not yet good in this computer technology, but if I get such people like you, and then they find us, you help me to put these books into the Amazon so that people can also read. And not forgetting my Braille system. We've got the Zimbabwe National League of the Blind, Council for the Blind, as well the South African League of the Blind, who can help us to put them in Braille so that the message can also appeal to all senses in the land. Yes.
Maybe you can share with us your phone number as well.
My phone number is 0778 682 786. Let me repeat it again, 0778 682 786. Also, I'm also in the email. That's Mandlenkosi Siwela @gmail.com. Should I spell in small letters? MANDLENKOSISIWELA @gmail.com.
You spoke about the issue of awareness to make maybe the communities aware of people who are visually impaired. Maybe educating them. You spoke about during COVID-19, someone will track you with your belt. What can you say to the community in terms of embracing visually impaired people?
I think we have to have a collective system or mechanism whereby we mingle from social groups, from political groups, and from religious groups so that we can tackle this issue. We have ethnic organizations that are registered to help persons with disabilities. I think also they have to take a stand there so that we can make a lot of awareness campaign programs and develop our society, because once the people are not aware, it will be very difficult. You find that a lot of programs are being done maybe in big cities, but I think we should spread our wings even to the rural communities, because when they come again to the urban areas, they will still have those fault issues. But once we tackle everyone and appeal to all senses within the land, it will make our issue easier and advocacy will take its course.
Mr. Siwela, thank you so much for joining us on the Breakfast Club this morning.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And to the listeners and viewers, I want to say thank you very much. Enjoy. We'll meet sometime.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us on the show this morning. This has been the Breakfast Club. I was talking to Mandlenkosi Siwela, an author, as well as a CCC councillor under the PIARA, the Provincial Council there in Brighton North. He's appealing for your support this morning. You say he has 5 books that he has written, but also is looking for a publisher, someone to help him publish all these books. One of the books is called Labo Ngabantu. The other one is Lao Cry Umkhulu Umkhosi Omkhulu, right? Please do support him. He gave us his phone number there. Please do support him and also comment there, or even DM us a site if you want to assist him. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. Hope you guys have a lovely day.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is isiNdebele and isiNdebele at Ncube Adventist Primary School. I'm going to present a poem about education. Education was good to me and my parents. Everyone likes you. No one can be a doctor, a teacher, a lawyer, or a pilot without you. Education was the best. Thank you.